Thank you, Lauren. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium Lee Cavell, who is parent and loss survivor, to help share her story.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for your time and being here at the Capitol. My name is Lee Cavell, and I'm the mother of a Marine who died from suicide. Dylan was an amazing and truly one-of-a-kind person. He valued his family dearly. He had a huge love for Philadelphia sports. Let's be honest, that's already a mental health issue in and of itself. He was so comical and loved making people laugh. He truly loved his country and had dreams of serving in the military since he was 4 years old. He never loved school, but he was incredibly bright and gifted at hands-on learning. He could build the biggest Lego models when he was young and worked on his car and his buddy's trucks when he was in high school. In middle school, he faced a great deal of bullying, which hindered much of his social and emotional health. But once in high school, he found community and belonging in the junior ROTC at Wilson High School. Nonetheless, while many other teenagers were out partying, he spent most of his weekend nights at home until his senior year. To say he was the easiest teenager to raise is an understatement. I cannot remember a time we ever had to discipline him. There was one time when I was at work and several of my employees were in the office with me, and I get a text message from him asking me if he can participate in senior cut day. I begged him to please participate in senior cut day and enjoy himself. Eventually he met kids who he related to. They loved trucks, the outdoors, fishing, country music, and several were also planning on joining the military. Dylan made a great group of lifelong friends who we still affectionately call the crew. After graduating in 2013, Dylan left for Parris Island, and after a long 13 weeks, he became a Marine. He could not be more proud to serve his country, and we were equally as proud. He went on to train and become an airframer on the CH-53 helicopters. He was living his dream. After a year of being a Marine, Dylan met a young lady from home. Within weeks, they quickly decided that they were going to marry. We were shocked, to say the least. I turned to my father for how to advise him. My dad is the best consultant a girl could ask for. Having been in the service himself, my dad explained that there was no stopping him. He shared when these young men, pretty much still children, enter the military, they have a huge loss. That loss being family. Other kids in college are able to come home on weekends and see their families, but military kids cannot. My dad said many in the military jump into marriages to create that sense of family. So we supported Dylan with his decision. Dylan and his wife's relationship was tumultuous and surely stressful for a young couple. While Dylan was deployed in the Middle East, his marriage faced growing challenges. Upon his return, Dylan and his wife separated. Dylan was devastated, and life became even more stressful when his re-enlistment was denied, and he tried to imagine that he would do what he would do once his tour was up in September of 2018. He had proudly made it to the rank of sergeant and was confused by what prospects lied before him after his life in the military. On January 20th, 2018, it was a Saturday, I started texting him. He had not responded, which was odd, but sometimes he would forget to tell me he was going on training with no reception, and I would express my anger to him at those times. I tried several times that day and even tried calling him. I called his older sister, his best friend, Chrissy, who is in labor right now with our third grandchild, to ask if she had talked to him. She hadn't talked to him since Thursday, and he told her he was just going to relax this weekend. As night grew on, I started to really worry. Even thought of scanning his Facebook friends list of names, seeing if there was any Marines that could maybe check on him. I was thinking I should message some of them and see if they had heard from him. I stopped myself because my older children always tease me about worrying too much and that it's embarrassing to them. So eventually I fell asleep with my husband Paul watching college football. Or no, it would have been, college football would have been over. But no, maybe it was college football. Anyway, he woke me at 1 a.m. to go to bed. As soon as my head hit the pillow, our black lab, Tug McGraw, began to bark. Quite unsettling at 1 a.m. Then there was a knock at the door. I began to freak out a bit as Paul went downstairs. He grabbed his gun from the safe. Paul thought I was freaking out because I thought it was a criminal at the door, but I knew it was worse. Paul began screaming. He had opened the door to a Marine and a Navy chaplain. Our nightmare had come true. Something that every military parent worries about, two officers coming to their door. As I came down the stairs, I yelled at them and told them they were not allowed to be here. They were not supposed to be here. As I looked into the Marine's eyes, I could see the pain. I was this casualty assistance officer's first assignment. I chose to listen as he read me the details of Dylan's death. Sergeant Dylan Dakota Young of the United States Marine Corps had died of suicide by hanging at the age of 22. Dylan had promised me that he would never hurt himself after watching his dear aunt lose her son, my nephew, his cousin. He also saw the mother of a fellow Marine who also lost his life to suicide. He always said he would never want to see me grieving like that. I can almost remember every second of that night and the days leading up to the funeral, and there are times that are completely blank. Due to naval red tape, it was 10 days before his funeral. His entire unit was cleared to be at the services. As we spoke to the Marines over several days, they shared so many amazing stories. According to his brothers and the Marines, he was the last person they would ever suspect. You see, Dylan was the guy who made everyone happy. He could turn any bad situation into a humorous memory. And we heard a lot. Some I don't think I was allowed to hear. Dylan was even talked a young man down from an attempted suicide weeks before his own. He was so loved by his unit and still is today. I have a ton of adopted sons all over the United States. His friends at home, the crew, echoed that of his Marine brothers. He was the funniest best friend anyone could ever have. One of them said, "Many people lose friends, but it's different losing a Dylan. If you didn't know him, you just won't understand the difference." Dylan left behind a mother, a father, and a bonus stepfather, and all four of his grandparents. He is dearly missed by his brothers and sisters, Christine, who was 24 at the time, Lindsay was 20, Anthony, who's out there somewhere, was 19, Sawyer was 7, and our little Zachary was 3. He also had dozens of aunts, uncles, and cousins who share in our loss. I have always thought of ways to honor Dylan and do something to prevent military and veteran suicide. 22 veterans or service members commit suicide every day. Didn't know that statistic until after my son died. I feel called to help in any way I can. I'm grateful for the opportunity to use this platform to honor my son and each and every service member who has been lost to the war at home. Just in closing, if I can reach one person out there today who is thinking about suicide, I ask that you stay. Thank you.